You mentioned some breathing techniques.
Yeah.
You know, how beneficial is that?
Yeah, I think, breathing is absolutely like the MVP of mental skills, right? Like
Really?
it is, it's so core to us that we have, if you think about everything from like just, kind of clearing our mind to being able to be in the present, right? Like we're breathing all the time, but we're not necessarily being really kind of focused or mindful about our breathing. So if we really kind of dial in on our breathing, it kind of focus us to be in the present, right? We have to kind of like notice that air coming into my nostrils, down to my lungs, down to my diaphragm, all the way back out. And so all that expectations or pressure just kind of pulls us back into the moment.
So how would you recommend? So is that how it is? You're actually thinking through the like
Absolutely.
each breath. How
Yeah.
like how when you were
Yeah.
talking with an athlete and
Yeah.
let's say it's a and one is the breathing before every pitch. Is it
Yeah.
before every at bat or I
Yeah.
guess all the
Yeah,
above
yeah,
or
it can be, right? Like, and I think like, because we say to kids all the time, kind of deep breath, deep breath, deep breath, right?
Right.
And like, what do like, our young little kids do? They, I feel exactly the same. Breathing doesn't help. Coach, why you tell me to breathe, right? And it's more about like, how do we slow that breath down, right? And how do we get really present with that? And so even like simply, I tell guys like in for 5 seconds, out for 6 seconds, and I'm like, all right, why out for 6? And they're like, I don't know, some scientific. I'm like, it's just one more than 5, right? It's just reminding us to kind of slow it down at exhale. Because a lot of my guys, especially in those tension-filled moments, they'll do a good job with that inhale, and then they'll just want to rush it out, and it just kind of keeps them in that hyped up, thing. And if I want you to go gray to green, right? Like think about guys with a lot of weight on the bar, like right? Like
amp it up?
those quick exhales to kind of amp up, like that can be really good for you, kind of like if you do need to kind of rev up that energy or late in a practice or those kind of things.
Yeah.
But really kind of slowing down that exhale is what's going to kind of help us to kind of calm down. And there's lots of different kind of techniques to get there with that. You hear all kinds of like different ways to number and count it, but it really comes down to, can we slow it down? Can we get present with that breath? Like that's what's key.
I've always heard this. I don't know if it's true, and I tell you it's true, but doesn't it actually slow your heart rate down?
Absolutely. It slows your heart rate down, decreases muscle tension, settles down blood pressure, like just really amazing stuff in terms of just physiologically
Changing,
settling yourself down.
Yeah, because I remember reading something about they were doing something with the Pirates organization, and I'm sure it was a sports psychologist that was working it, and they gave an example of snipers before they shoot, and it was talking about they were using the same breathing technique to calm the heart rate, because obviously it starts speeding up, and they kind of tried to apply that to walking up to an at bat, and they tested guys, and they did all this different thing. I always found that incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
And I like the ramp up though, because I think we forget about that because everyone's always like, take a deep breath, calm down.
Yeah,
but I think that's a really, really valid point that sometimes we need to ramp up.
Yeah.
And breathing could help with that too.
Yeah. And like the baseball example, like for like, one of my guys, it's slowing down his breath, kind of like in the hole to on deck to stepping in.
Right.
And then when he wants to get on the base paths and go be dangerous, he's getting that quick exhale to kind of start to kind of fire himself up and start to get going. And like, all right, I need that a little extra energy to kind of like, make that read, fast twitch muscles, get out there on the base paths and go be dangerous. Right.
Yes, absolutely.
And so like kind of understanding, so like understanding yourself and then also understanding the situation, right? Like we could use that for different situational stuff.
Yeah, that's good. If you enjoyed that clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the full podcast, click right here. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you find this content valuable.